Welcome, Life Hack Quacks, to another episode of the Life Hack Advisors video and audio podcast. Today we're doing an author profile of one of our own, life hacker in residence, Stephen Parado.
Hello.
Stephen has published getting near 10 books now.
I think it's 9.
9.5, 2.0. What have you, but we're going to get into the nitty-gritty of his book, Feeling Good, Feeling Great, which is an offshoot from his blog, which is very popular and becoming more popular by the day. But first, let me start. I wouldn't want to ignore asking, how are you, Steve?
Feeling good, feeling great. How are you?
I feel like a leprechaun going to my first CrossFit class. So
you gotta say that one at the grocery store.
As a sidebar, to those new to the podcast or some of the roundtable episodes we do a challenge of when people ask you in a corporate or otherwise,
any environment,
but usually it's a very staid fashion, as we're all familiar with, where somebody will say, how's it going? You have to say, you cannot say good or okay or anything standard. So we try every time to say something different. And usually I just say what comes to mind, which can be pretty random.
Yep.
So, first off, Steve, you want to give me the full title of your book and tell me where it's available?
Well, it's Feeling Good, Feeling Great, and the subtitle is A Collection of Short Essays and Articles that will provide you with a renewed perspective on, well, everything.
That's quite the promise, man.
Yeah.
So why are you proud of this book?
Well, it's basically my most popular and in my opinion, my favorite blog posts from my blog.
Mm-hmm.
So what I did was I took all of them and narrowed it down, and I went through each individual post and edited it. I updated it and rewrote some of it, and then I combined them all into a book, which I published on Amazon Kindle.
And that puppy's about 140 Kindle pages.
Something like that, yeah.
Nice. And how long did it take you to compile this? Like, it's the product of how much work? A night?
No.
Okay.
Maybe it took a few nights to just narrow it down to the articles and posts to use for it.
But I mean the actual content. Over how many years did you write the essays and the blog posts?
Oh, that's from the beginning of Feeling Good, Feeling Great. So over the course of, I started it in September 2012. Yeah, September 2012 up until the end of last year. So 2.5 years almost.
Nice. Where does Feeling Good, Feeling Great come from, the name?
It comes from an Outkast song, Ghetto Music from Big Boy's album Speaker Box. So it's the bridge to that song. He goes, feeling good, feeling great, feeling good. How are you? And like that always just stood out to me. So when I was thinking of a name for a blog, like what suits me and my philosophy and what I'm trying to express, like that just seemed so natural.
You know I know Outcast, so I gotta call them. We gotta get our lawyers on their ass right away. This is not gonna stay. All right. Well, I guess most importantly, most selfishly, I've read certainly a lot of your blog posts, but what can this book do for my life or our listeners' lives? What would you like to highlight? What's some of the value? Why is it worth at least $2.99? Let's get into the guts.
Well, it hits on so many topics, and it really approaches like self-improvement and overall well-being, and of course feeling good from like every imaginable angle. So I have some posts on meditation, posts about health, posts about fitness, routines, some philosophical type of essays, and some like very empowering essays. So like I included some of my posts that were featured on like the big consciousness oriented websites. So like the ones that Waking Times and Collective Evolution picked up on, like Human Race, Get Off Your Knees. No, Human Race, Take Your Power Back. That's it. And like a bunch of very inspirational posts like that as well.
Tell me some others. Let's get specific.
In terms of life hacking, we'll go to that. Like one that is a really cool life hacking technique that I came up with is a post called the balloon technique. And it's one that I developed a couple years ago. So it's when you have a lot of ideas weighing on your mind, you know, a bunch of these thoughts that you just can't get rid of, especially when you're like trying to go to bed.
Excuse me. I need a coughing heck.
It's a technique for that. So
you got a lot of ideas in your head.
Yeah, so what you do is you picture each idea or thought as a balloon, and you let go of that balloon and you let it just float away. So you take every idea like, I have a project due for my job, and you envision letting it go like a balloon.
Boy, that crack I've been smoking is killing me.
So that's a nice little life hack.
But how does that come back? Like, I mean, you let go of the ideas, you got a lot on your mind. But so then, how do I then put them to use? Or is it not about that?
It's not about that. It's about things you got to let go of. And a lot of people are just constantly absorbed in their mind and their crazy thought, and they go through these circular loops of thought that gets them nowhere and keeps them awake at night.
That's good. It's true. We'll give you another.
In terms of, like,
I see life as a video game. I see.
Yeah, that's one I love. One of my favorite ones as a concept is The Art of Not Giving a Fuck. And I actually turned that into another Kindle book.
Mm-hmm.
So I developed that concept a couple of years ago too. So it really expresses how to get true freedom. Like not caring about what other people think and just living your own authentic essence. Being true to your authentic self.
So
it breaks down a lot of that. Like I go into like rediscovering your inner child. So ways to do that, like just incorporating play into daily life. And there's a lot of lists like that go into that kind of stuff. And then also things like choosing love over fear. So it gets you to be aware of the choices you're making out of fear and the choices you're making out of love, and to make more choices out of love. So when you're giving a fuck, you know, you're living in fear when you're not giving a fuck. So it's kind of like not giving a fuck from a place of love. So it's not like, oh, I don't care about anything, I'm going to go punch someone in the face. No. It's doing all that from a place of love, loving yourself and all that stuff.
Which I love the high level concept. But give me a personal example of where you caught yourself, where you were going to go down one path, but you realized, like, you know, it's good to have an example of that versus just the concept.
I've been incorporating a lot of it just in little ways in my daily life. Like one thing that really broke me out of the box a couple years ago was when I was in New Zealand and I was looking for a place to work out. And I ended up working out on playgrounds. And at first I was a little leery and apprehensive to be doing that, because it's kind of like putting yourself out there and doing different things, and people are looking like, what the hell's that guy doing on the playground?
Yeah.
But like, I just did it because I had no other way to work out. And I ended up having fun with it, and I met some cool people, and kids loved it too.
Huh. That's awesome.
So that's one example of it. Yeah, and that's actually doing that became the fuel for the initial idea of that concept of not giving a fuck.
No, I would say I remember that. I used to jog a lot when I lived in London, and I think I initially like felt like an idiot doing push-ups. I'd always mix up doing a lot of push-ups in between my running
Yeah.
in the most random places. And you initially feel very conscious about it.
Yeah.
Like, where's that dude doing push-ups? But you know what? Screw it. I'm the one that's in better shape.
Exactly. Yeah. And if you don't do push-ups, what's the motivation behind that for not doing it? It's because of what other people think. So
Yeah.
instead of being motivated by what you really want to do, which would be the love aspect of things, you're motivated by the fear of what other people think or society as a whole.
Now, on the extreme side of that, when I lived in Manhattan, I used to have a friend that would come and visit, and every time he visited from Atlanta, we would be having brunch, usually hungover or something from a late night of not seeing each other in a while, and we would get on the floor in the middle of the restaurant and busy and have push-up contests. And people always didn't quite know how to handle that. But
Whatever. As long as you're not harming yourself or others, everything's fair game, you know?
Yeah. All right. Well, any other life hacking oriented chapters or essays you want to highlight here? I mean, there's a lot of content. Is it?
There's so much. There's everything from like psychological and mental hacks, you know, to shift your perception, to like meditation hacks, and there's a little bit of everything.
I'm going to give you one last chance. Pick another one to highlight. Or do you want me to pick one?
You can pick one.
Why be a victim?
Ooh, that's a good one. So that's kind of like a perception hack. So that's pretty much calling out the victim mentality that is more prevalent in some people compared to others. So it basically says how useless the victim mentality is, because the victim mentality creates a victim reality. So many people get caught in that loop. So they're constantly a victim, so they're making themselves a victim, more of a victim, and they're attracting those things, and they're completely disempowering themselves. So they're putting themselves at the mercy of any external forces or other people. And if you give your power away, there's a lot of forces and people that will step in and gladly manipulate it. Yeah. So it goes that, and then because I'm always solution oriented, especially with the blog post, it shifts into empowering yourself.
So how do you shift that paradigm of poor me, I'm a victim of the economy, or I'm a victim of this, to ways around it? Just change your thinking?
Yeah, you create your own reality. So it goes into that. It goes into being aware of your thoughts. It goes into things like working out or improving your health to build more genuine self-confidence. So that gets the snowball rolling in the right direction. It creates that empowerment within you. And then once you even get the slightest bit of empowerment, it really is like a snowball effect.
Nice.
And you start doing more and more, and you see more results, so that motivates you even further. So so you shift into that empowerment paradigm.
I think that's true. I know I've experienced that myself.
Yeah.
I think that's a good note to end it on. This is available on Amazon.
Yep.
And I think you've got some books starting to go out on iPad, iTunes.
Yeah, coming soon.
Nook, Kobo, all that stuff.
Yep.
Thank you again. If you enjoyed this, please leave us a review on iTunes. Again, it's Lifehack Advisors is the podcast, the YouTube channel, the website. If you didn't enjoy it, well, go do 1,000 push-ups and reconsider your life.
Peace.